Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of complex research and, well, we give you the fast track to being well informed.
And today, we're wading into a really big one, a topic that's on the mind of so many parents and educators.
We're talking about artificial intelligence and how it's already shaping early childhood development, or what we call ECE.
This deep dive is so essential because AI, it isn't coming. It's here.
Oh, it's already here.
Right. It's built into the learning apps, the smart toys, the voice assistants that children are interacting with every single day.
And what the sources we looked at show is a huge gap. I mean, we have this rapid integration, but our actual understanding of how AI affects a child's brain, their emotions, their behavior, it's just profoundly limited.
Dangerously limited. Because you have to remember, those early years, from birth to about 8, that's when everything is being built.
The absolute foundation.
Exactly. Memory, decision-making, social skills. These are not the years where we can afford to just, treat a tool as powerful as AI as if it's neutral.
So our mission today is really to cut through the tech hype.
Yes, we're focusing on the central critique we found in the sources. It's this idea of technological determinism.
Which is basically the assumption that if a new technology exists, it must be an improvement for education.
And that's a flawed assumption. We have to unpack the benefits, of course, they're powerful. But we also have to really interrogate what we're risking.
What we might be losing.
In terms of human interaction, social cohesion, and just crucial developmental milestones.
So we're not just looking at app features today, we're really digging into the sociological consequences. We're asking, what happens to a child's idea of society when a machine becomes one of their main teachers?
And to help us get our heads around that, we're going to start by looking back, actually, to two giants of sociology.
Thinkers whose warnings from a century ago are just startlingly relevant right now.
It's so true. Because with AI and ECE, the stakes aren't just academic. They're about socialization, a child's identity.
Your place in the world.
Yeah. And that's why we need Emil Durkheim, who was all about social cohesion, and Max Weber, who warned us about too much rationality.
Okay, let's start that journey with Durkheim. His life's work was centered on shared values, on social unity. For him, schools were this crucible.
That's a great word for it. It's where citizenship and social skills were forged.
So what would his gut reaction be to seeing AI integrated so quickly into that sacred space?
He would be profoundly cautious, even worried.
Why worried? What's the core fear?
For Durkheim, it's about what happens when society goes through a massive, destabilizing change, like a sudden shift in how we educate our kids without the right structures in place. He had a word for it. Anomie.
Anomie, that feeling of what? Normlessness, isolation.
Exactly.
But what does anomie look like for a 4-year-old? How does that actually show up in a classroom?
And that is the critical question for you, the listener. For a young child, anomie could be difficulty solving conflicts, or just a basic inability to get group rules.
It's sharing.
Sharing, waiting your turn, reading a friend's face when they're upset.
Yeah.
Imagine a classroom where the main teacher is an AI. It's super individualized. The child might not have to negotiate a shared space or a toy or interpret those subtle cues from another kid.
Because in a traditional classroom, the teacher isn't just delivering information. They're the playground referee. They're modeling empathy.
They're the moral guide, exactly. Durkheim would worry that if kids rely too heavily on a personalized AI, they miss out on those essential social lessons, the ones you only learn through friction with your peers and guidance from a human role model.
And that loss, if you scale it up across a whole generation, could lead to a less coherent, more isolated society. That's the huge sociological cost he's worried about.
That's it. But, Durkheim was also fascinated by the division of labor, by specialization.
So could he have found a way to get on board with AI if it served a clear social purpose?
He could, yeah. If AI helped, say, identify talents early on and develop specialized skills for a modern economy, he might see a positive side.
And what about the moral component?
That's the crucial part. If the AI were programmed specifically to instill those shared communal moral values that he saw as the bedrock of society, then he might endorse it.
So his support would come with some incredibly heavy conditions.
Oh, massive caveats. His focus is always on the whole, on the society.
Okay, let's pivot to Max Weber. AI is all about efficiency. It's data-driven, it's rational. For a stressed education system, that sounds like a dream come true.
It does. And Weber would have appreciated that efficiency. He absolutely would have supported AI for, say, administrative tasks.
Taking work off the teacher's plate.
Yes. And for teaching subjects that really benefit from rational thinking, like math or basic science. It creates a streamlined process, which he saw as a hallmark of modernity.
It sounds incredibly compelling, but what's the catch? According to Weber, what is the fundamental cost of putting that kind of rationality above everything else?
This is where his great warning comes in, the iron cage.
The iron cage.
Weber feared that if rationality became the only organizing principle for society, we'd end up trapped in a steel-hard casing that we built ourselves. Life would lose its spontaneity, its emotion, its humanity.
So in an early childhood classroom, what does that iron cage actually look like? Is it just a boring classroom?
It's so much worse than boring. It's developmentally limiting. The iron cage in a classroom means the AI models are optimizing for one thing: measurable outcomes.
Standardized test scores.
Standardized test scores. The curriculum becomes all about inputs and outputs.
Yeah.
And in that relentless pursuit of efficiency, all the things you can't quantify,
Soft skills, imaginative play, the joy of discovery.
they get squeezed out
Yeah.
systematically. If an algorithm can't track and optimize a metric, that metric loses its value. The risk is we create a generation of brilliant test takers who are emotionally underdeveloped and lack the creativity for real problem solving.
It's just content delivery at that point, not human development.
That's it.
It's really powerful that these two thinkers, one focused on the social fabric and the other on efficiency, they both land in the same place.
Their joint verdict is clear.
Yeah.
Use AI, but in a limited and highly responsible way. The tech has to serve the teacher, not replace that essential human element.
That balance is everything. Okay, we've laid out the big philosophical warnings. Now we have to get real about the benefits, the reasons this tech is surging into ECE in the first place.
And the benefits are undeniable, especially when you talk about personalization and inclusion.
Right.
Think of a big classroom. Every kid is at a different level. Research, like studies from Brazil, shows AI tools can adapt literacy activities to each child's exact pace.
And that's more than just a convenience. It's an intervention, isn't it?
It is. It means teachers get that early warning system we talked about.
Yeah.
The AI can flag tiny learning difficulties way sooner than a person ever could. And for kids with special needs, AI offers tailored, interactive learning. It democratizes access.
And that brings us to the models themselves. We hear so much about LLMs, large language models, the tech behind things like ChatGPT. When you talk about bringing complex subjects to young kids, they sound revolutionary.
Oh, they are. And just to be clear, LLMs are basically advanced prediction engines. They're trained on billions of data points from the internet.
So what can they do for a preschooler?
Well, studies from the University of Michigan show they can be tuned to give highly accurate but very simple explanations of complex topics. Think biology or physics for a 4-year-old.
That is profound. For a school with limited resources, maybe a weak science curriculum, this could bridge a massive gap.
It levels the playing field for knowledge access.
Yeah.
And it's not just about content, it's about thinking skills. There was research from the University of Toronto using AI chatbots.
This was about computational thinking, right?
Yes. Kids from 4 to 9 could make a robot act just by talking to a chatbot. No reading or typing needed.
So it removes the barriers?
Completely. And it enhances logical thinking and sequencing skills all through natural play. This is a foundational skill for their future.
And what about those soft skills Durkheim cared so much about?
Well, you see systems like Tinkertails. It's a board game combined with an AI speech system. It encourages storytelling, creative play, collaboration.
Things that build long-term human capital. And I guess it helps parents too, right?
Huge support for parents.
Mm-hmm.
Monitoring tools that track progress, offer insights. It really strengthens that parental role in learning. The potential here is just a massive lever for engagement.
It all sounds so compelling. But now we have to turn the coin over. We have to confront the other side. Because when you change how a 4-year-old interacts with the world, you're changing the wiring of their brain.
That's the crucial caveat. And the risks are profound. They're developmental, they're ethical, and they're sociological.
What are the big organizations saying?
Well, UNICEF has issued warnings. They're concerned that AI-mediated interaction could start to replace human caregivers, that it could fundamentally alter the parent-child bond and the peer-to-peer bond.
Which is a direct threat to the whole process of socialization. If a child's main source of comfort or information is an algorithm, what happens when they have to navigate the messy human world?
It creates a huge liability. And, we don't have to guess about this. We have hard medical data. There was one study in particular published in JAMA Pediatrics that we really need to pause on.
Okay, walk us through it, because this carries immense weight for anyone listening.
The researchers found that high screen time at a very early age, and we're talking about age 1.
Age 1, wow.
Yeah, 4 more hours a day at age 1, is directly linked to developmental delays
What kind of delays?
in communication and in problem solving. And these delays were seen later at ages 2 and then again at 4.
Wait, so 4 hours a day at age 1 is linked to measurable delays years later. That single data point, it just forces you to stop and think about the severity of this risk.
It does. We're not just talking about efficiency anymore. We're talking about potential measurable harm to brain maturation.
And how does this connect back to the economy? To Durkheim's worries about social cohesion?
It creates an economic spiral. Families with lower incomes or parents working multiple jobs might rely more on cheaper AI apps as a substitute for human care.
Which means higher screen time.
Exactly. Higher screen time leads to those cognitive delays the research shows, which can then translate into long-term consequences. Reduced educational attainment, diminished human capital later in life.
So instead of bridging the gap, we could end up making the socioeconomic divide even wider.
That is the risk. And it's made worse by the ethical failures in the tech itself. Remember those LLMs? They're trained on the internet.
And the internet is full of bias, toxic content.
All of it. So a poorly governed LLM could feed harmful or culturally insensitive material directly to a child. And then there's data privacy.
The data being collected on these kids, it's incredibly sensitive.
Extremely sensitive behavioral and developmental data. It's highly vulnerable to misuse. Organizations like the Ethical Data Initiative have pointed out that corporations often benefit the most from this data, while the children bear the long-term costs.
So who really benefits when we rush these tools out without strong regulations?
That's a huge structural question. Current AI governance pretty much ignores the specific needs of children. We need youth-centered privacy protections and strong ethical frameworks, or we risk reinforcing the very inequalities we hope to solve.
So after all of this,
Yeah.
what does it mean for you? The parent, the educator, the policymaker listening in. We've seen these powerful tensions, the sociological warnings pitched against the real potential for personalized learning.
The promise of enhanced human capital versus the real, verifiable risk of developmental delays and widening inequality.
Where do we land?
I think the takeaway has to be decisive. That core critique we started with against technological determinism, the idea that new tech is automatically good, that has to be your guide.
Implementation dictates impact.
That's it. AI shouldn't be adopted just because we can. It should be adopted because it serves the foundational human needs of a developing child.
So we have to move forward with a fierce commitment to
So what?
moderation,
Yeah.
structure.
Both. Moderation and structure. These tools are powerful servants, but they can never become the master. They have to support learning while we fiercely protect human interaction, imaginative play, creativity.
All that messy face-to-face stuff.
All of it. Because those are the things that build social cohesion.
So the final message is, use AI responsibly. Use it in moderation.
And structure its use. Make sure every minute a child spends with an algorithm is balanced, if not outweighed, by meaningful human engagement. Because this whole discussion requires us to look past just convenience and ask ourselves a final provocative question.
Okay, let's hear it.
If AI fundamentally changes how children socialize, how will we measure the success of an education system? What if it produces students who are highly rational and efficient, but who lack social coherence, emotional fluency, and a shared moral language? That is a profound challenge that only thoughtful educators and parents like you can answer.